The moment is here. This is our moment.
America, we are back, baby. Welcome to episode 10 of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides. I'm going to dive into a few different topics today. I'm going to talk about Trump's Inauguration Day and why it's a day to celebrate around the country. I'm going to talk about Biden's pardons that he handed down today to Liz Cheney and Anthony Fauci, why I think it's wrong and corrupt. I'm going to talk about the TikTok ban again and TikTok being restored to United States users. And then I'll end the day talking about the JFK, MLK, and RFK files and why I think they should be released, and President Donald Trump saying he will release them. To dive right into things today, I want to talk about Biden's pardons. Biden decided today to pardon Liz Cheney and Anthony Fauci for any crimes they may or may not have committed in the last few years. I personally think this is extremely corrupt and wrong. The government works for us, so our tax dollars pay for their salaries, and the government serves as public servants to the American taxpayers. So I think when the president is pardoning members of the government for crimes they may have committed against their own citizens, I think is extremely corrupt. I think it's wrong. I don't think Americans should let them get away with this. I personally think full investigation should have been done on Liz Cheney and on Anthony Fauci for the crimes they may have committed. To start with Liz Cheney was being investigated for potential crimes of witness tampering in the January 6th case. After more information has come out about January 6th, then we now know that over 23 FBI agents, including FBI agents and informants, were there on the day, and they were entrapping citizens as well, convincing citizens to do crimes they normally would not have done, the definition of entrapment. I think it shows a lot of corruption happened that day, and I think that Liz Cheney's involvement and Liz Cheney being pardoned for any involvement that she had in the hearings, I think is extremely corrupt by the Biden administration. It lowers the trust the American people has in our government as well, which I think is a terrible move for our government. Our government needs to do whatever possible to restore trust with the American people, and I think this does the exact opposite. And to talk about Anthony Fauci was pardoned for crimes he may or may not have committed during the COVID-19 pandemic, including but not limited to gain-of-function research. So it's alleged that Anthony Fauci funded the study on coronavirus in the Wuhan lab that led to the outbreak that caused the pandemic in the world, leading to millions of deaths. I personally think Anthony Fauci is a corrupt, terrible individual, along with Liz Cheney. I think that both of them should have been removed from their positions. I think that both of them should have been arrested as well for their roles in both of their different instances. I personally think that Fauci specifically, Fauci has been almost responsible for millions of deaths in the United States. The 6-foot rule did almost nothing. The masks were proved to do almost nothing. The COVID vaccine had far more side effects than it helped people as well. Young people my age are suffering with myocarditis now. A lot of young athletes and young males are having myocarditis, having heart attacks where they normally wouldn't have had them. We've seen instances of this with LeBron James' son. We've also seen it in the NFL as well with Damar Hamlin. I personally think that Biden pardoning members of the government, like I said, is extremely corrupt. I don't think it's okay, and I think the American people should stand up against it. I want to talk about Trump's Inauguration Day. I think it's a huge day to celebrate throughout the country. Trump is now going to be restoring patriotism back in America with his Make America Great Again stance. Trump is going to be putting America first in almost every way. He'll be signing over 200 executive orders on his day one, which is record-breaking. He will bring back Remain in Mexico, which makes asylees stay in their home country while they are going through the immigration process. I think that's an amazing step for this country in returning jobs to Americans and lowering the crime throughout the country as well. I think these sanctuary cities and starting with ICE raids in those cities is a big part of Trump's plan as well. Trump plans to deploy ICE agents to Chicago, New York City to conduct raids and deport illegal immigrants in mass amounts. I think this will be a huge step for Americans, bringing back a lot of taxpayer dollars to Americans that have been wasted on illegal immigrants and illegal immigration. There's a lot of crime in these cities. The crime has only risen in these cities since they've declared as sanctuary cities, and they've been filled with illegal migrants over the last 4 years. Trump being in office brings a lot of patriotism back to this nation. I'm very excited for the next 4 years and everything that Trump has to bring. Trump also brought back TikTok back to this nation. So TikTok on January 19th, when you open the app at midnight, it said, there was a little pop-up that said, due to the laws in the United States, TikTok servers are banned and you will not be able to access them anymore. We are working with President-elect Donald Trump to restore services in your country. And then about 12 hours later, by noon that day, services were restored on TikTok, and a new pop-up came up that said, thanks to the efforts of President-elect Donald Trump, your services on TikTok in the United States have been restored. So not only did Trump keep one of his first promises, but TikTok has been brought back to the country. Like I've said before, I think TikTok is a fantastic platform for conservatives to reach younger conservatives. Charlie Kirk, RFK, Donald Trump, and various others like J.D. Vance have been very great about using this platform to communicate with younger conservatives and build the conservative movement and teach kids about why it's better to be a conservative than it is to be a Democrat. I personally think that, like I said, TikTok is one of the better platforms we currently have. A lot of people make a lot of money with it as well. So I think adding TikTok back brings a lot of people their jobs back who lost their jobs, a lot of creators. Trump also said he will release the JFK, RFK, and MLK files to the American people. This was supposed to be done in the 90s and has continuously been pushed back, citing the public safety concern of releasing these files. I really think that to establish trust with the American people and the government again, they need to do a better job about declassifying things, especially when it comes to something as big as a president being assassinated. JFK was shot while in the back of a car. RFK was also assassinated, and MLK too, and I think our government was involved in all three of these. MLK, I want to start there. There's a great documentary on Amazon Prime called MLK FBI, and it dives into all the wiretaps that the FBI had put on MLK. It releases a lot of these wiretaps as well, and you could hear MLK talking, you could hear members of our FBI and law enforcement talking as well. And one of the quotes in there is a law enforcement officer for the FBI saying, I actually think it was the leader of the FBI in the documentary who said this, but he said that MLK is the strongest African American man in this country and he needs to be destroyed and killed at any and all costs. So I do think that our government did have involvement in MLK's murder. I personally do think they also did have involvement in JFK and RFK's murder as well. There have been many conspiracy theories that have floated around throughout the years, whether it was something that went wrong in Cuba, mafia involvement, our government's involvement in JFK and RFK. But I personally think it was our own government who did take him out. And I think that is why they have delayed releasing these files for so long, because they know that releasing these files, even though it would seem like it would up the trust of the American people to declassify files about this, I think them realizing that, seeing that our own government took out one of our own presidents because they didn't agree with things he was saying, will lose a lot of trust with the American people. Over time, I think it will be restored if that is the case. I think that the American people, seeing that our government is willing to declassify this information, I think will be a huge step forward. But I do think that as we get more information on those files, that a lot of crazy things will happen around this country. I think Trump will be one of the greatest presidents for this country. He was great for his 4-year term before, and I think for this 4-year term, he'll be amazing as well. He's the first president to do non-consecutive 4-year terms since the 1900s, since Grover Cleveland. I really think that Donald Trump's idea of, like I said, putting America first, putting American taxpayers before other countries' citizens first, is a step in the right direction. I'm very excited for the next 4 years with Donald Trump. I'm very excited for everything that's yet to come. As I get more information about things going on, I'm going to always keep you guys updated as well. And I always urge you guys, message me or comment on any of my videos with any questions you have or things you want me to talk about. But I'm James Pascalides. This is episode 10 of America Unfiltered. I'm signing off today. I hope you all have a blessed day. And let's go Trump Inauguration Day. Thank you.